The road was almost empty, washed pale by the last light of evening. Street lamps hummed awake one by one, their glow stretching long shadows across cracked asphalt. Officer Daniel Reyes slowed his patrol car when he saw something small moving along the shoulder ahead. At first, he thought it was an animal, a stray dog maybe, but then the shape straightened, and he felt his chest tighten. A little girl. She couldn't have been more than 6 or 7. Her hair was tangled, sticking to her cheeks with sweat and dust. She wore a thin, oversized t-shirt that hung like a dress, its hem darkened with grime. Her feet were bare, soles blackened and bleeding in places, toes curled inward with each step as if the road itself hurt her. She walked slowly, unevenly, like someone who had forgotten how to move without pain. Daniel pulled over and stepped out, the car door clicking shut too loudly in the quiet. He kept his voice gentle, lowering himself to one knee so he wouldn't tower over her. "Hey there," he said softly. "Are you okay?" The girl stopped but didn't look at him. Her eyes stayed fixed on the ground, as if she were counting cracks in the pavement. When she finally lifted her head, Daniel felt the breath leave his lungs. Her eyes were too old for her face, dark, hollow, and heavy with something that didn't belong in a child. "I'm not supposed to talk to strangers," she whispered. "That's okay," Daniel replied. "You don't have to talk if you don't want to. I'm a police officer. My job is to make sure you're safe." She studied the badge on his chest, then his face, as if searching for something familiar. Her lips trembled, she swayed slightly, and Daniel instinctively reached out, stopping just short of touching her. "Do you know where your parents are?" he asked. The girl shook her head once, slow and deliberate. "I had to go," she said. Her voice was thin, like paper stretched too far. "He said if I told anyone, it would be worse." Daniel's stomach tightened. He had heard variations of those words before, too many times. Each one left a scar. He chose his next words carefully. "Who said that?" he asked. She hesitated, eyes darting to the dark trees lining the road. The wind rustled through the leaves, and she flinched as if the sound alone could hurt her. "I'm not supposed to say his name," she whispered. "But he's not my dad." Something cold slid down Daniel's spine. He glanced around, suddenly hyper-aware of the quiet, the emptiness of the road, the distance from the nearest houses. "Okay," he said gently. "You did the right thing by coming out here. You're very brave." At the word brave, her face crumpled. Her shoulders shook, and a sound escaped her throat that wasn't quite a sob, more like a broken breath she had been holding for too long. "I didn't want to leave my brother," she said. "He's still sleeping." Daniel's heart pounded. "Your brother?" he asked. "How old is he?" 3, she said. "He cries when he wakes up and I'm not there. But I couldn't stay." He said tonight was my turn again. The night seemed to tilt. Daniel felt the world narrow to the small, barefoot child in front of him, to the words she had just spoken, and to the unspoken horrors behind them. "Listen to me," he said, his voice firm now but still kind. "You're safe with me. I need you to tell me where you came from so I can help your brother too." She looked at him then, really looked at him, as if weighing his promise against every broken one she had ever known. Her eyes filled with tears, but none fell. Instead, she took a shallow breath and spoke, each word costing her something. "He locks the door at night," she said. "But the window in the bathroom doesn't close all the way. I waited until he started snoring. I stepped on the sink to climb out. The glass cut me, but I didn't cry." Daniel noticed the thin line of dried blood along her calf, the small cuts on her arms. He clenched his jaw. "What's your name?" he asked. "Lila," she said. "My mom used to call me that. Before she went to sleep for a long time." Daniel knew what that meant too. The phrases children used when adults failed them were etched into his memory like scars. "Lila," he repeated softly. "You did everything right." She swayed again, this time more noticeably. Her face had gone pale, lips tinged blue. Daniel reached out and steadied her, his hands light on her shoulders. "Hey," he said, "stay with me, okay?" Her gaze flickered, struggling to stay focused. She opened her mouth, as if there was something else she needed to say, something urgent, something heavy. "He said," she whispered. "He said if anyone came, he'd make my brother disappear like Mom." The words hit Daniel like a physical blow. His chest tightened, air suddenly hard to draw. He had trained for violence, for chaos, for fear, but nothing prepared him for the quiet devastation in a child's voice when she said something like that. "Lila," he said urgently. "Where is the house? Can you show me?" Her knees buckled. She collapsed forward, her small body folding into his arms. Daniel caught her just in time, lowering her gently to the ground. Her eyes fluttered, then closed, her breathing shallow and uneven. "Lila," he called, panic sharpening his voice despite his training. He checked her pulse, weak but there. He grabbed his radio with shaking hands. "Dispatch, I need an ambulance," he said, forcing himself to speak clearly. "Child, approximately 6 years old, found barefoot on Route 17 near mile marker 42. She's unconscious. Possible abuse. Send medical and backup immediately." He took off his jacket and wrapped it around her, shielding her from the cold asphalt. As he did, he noticed bruises beneath the grime, faded yellows and angry purples along her arms and neck. Evidence of a story far longer and darker than the few words she had managed to share. Daniel stayed with her, one hand steady on her shoulder, the other hovering near his radio. His mind raced, not just with protocol, but with fear for the little boy she had left behind. A 3-year-old alone in a locked house with a man capable of making a child this terrified. Sirens wailed in the distance, growing louder. Daniel didn't look away from Lila's face. He spoke to her quietly, even though she couldn't hear him. "You're not alone anymore," he said. "I promise." The ambulance arrived first, lights flashing red and white against the dark. Paramedics moved quickly, kneeling beside Lila, checking her vitals, fitting an oxygen mask over her face. Daniel stood, giving them space, but he stayed close. She mentioned a younger brother, Daniel told them. 3 years old, still at the house. The lead paramedic met his eyes, understanding immediately. "We'll take care of her," she said. "You go." Backup units arrived just as Daniel was climbing back into his car. He relayed everything Lila had said, every detail, every word that had shattered him. Another officer took notes, his face grim. "Show us the way," the officer said. Daniel started the engine, the tires gripping the road as he turned around. The drive felt endless, even though it was only a few miles. Every darkened house they passed made his chest tighten. Every second felt stolen from the little boy waiting somewhere behind a locked door. They turned onto a narrow dirt road, trees closing in overhead. Daniel recognized it suddenly, a place they'd had noise complaints from, vague reports that never quite turned into anything actionable. His stomach sank. "There," Daniel said, pointing to a small, sagging house at the end of the road. One window glowed faintly. They approached silently, spreading out. Daniel's heart hammered as he moved toward the front door. He knocked once, loud and authoritative. "Police," he called. "Open the door." No response. He tried again, harder. Still nothing. From inside, faint but unmistakable, came the sound of a child crying. Daniel didn't wait. The door splintered under the force of his kick. The smell inside hit him immediately, stale alcohol, rot, and something else, something human and wrong. He followed the sound of crying down a narrow hallway to a small bedroom. A little boy sat on the floor, clutching a blanket, tears streaking his face. His eyes were red and swollen, his cheeks smudged with dirt. He looked up as Daniel entered, fear freezing him in place. "It's okay," Daniel said.